The PREGNACARE show is proudly brought to you by
Spretonic,
Flourish Formula.
Having a child or children is better joy to couples. So deciding on your means or ways of conception is your choice to make. IVF has become one of the commonest and most sure ways of conceiving and having a baby, also known as assisted reproductive method. During an IVF, a man's sperm and a woman's egg is collected and fused outside the body in a laboratory dish and later transferred into the uterus of the woman to develop and turn a baby. What instances do I need an IVF? Can it fail? Is it painful? And how will my body cope? In recent times, there are few other options for couples or individuals to conceive a child, and one of those options is the IVF. An IVF is also an option for treating infertility, but then how demanding is it? What is the success rate and what is the strength in doing an IVF? You are welcome to the Pregnancy Care Show. On today's episode, we'll be looking at everything IVF. My name is Dede. Welcome to the show. The show is brought to you by Floradish and Spretonic. So on today's episode, we have with us a doctor who has every information and every detail about IVF. Hello, doctor.
Hi.
You're welcome to the Pregnancy Care
Thank you
Show.
so much.
So we are grateful for having you on our episode today.
I'm really happy to be here.
Okay. So for the sake of our viewers, we want to know your name, where you work, and what you do.
Yes, my name is Dr. Michael McCarthy. I'm the CEO of Sinel Specialist Family Hospital. We focus on families. We focus on treatment of couples for fertility issues, everything that has to do with gynecology. We focus on pregnancy care and delivery in all aspects. We focus on pediatric care for the children. We focus on care for men through our general surgery, our urology, our dialysis, and all the other services that we have. We have specialists in these areas to address the things that have to do in relation to the big medical areas we talk about: dietetics, psychology, psychiatry, and other forms of counseling to ensure that we have the best kind of health. So basically, here in Tema, Sinel Specialist Family Hospital, this is what you do. I am an obstetrician gynecologist myself, and I think this topic is actually really nice because it helps to solve some of the really thorny issues that couples come with.
So with any health concern, can you walk to Sinel Specialist Hospital? So on this note, we'll go for a short commercial break. When we come back, the show still continues. Welcome back. If you just joined us, it's still the Pregnancy Care Show, and we are looking at IVF on today's episode. So, doctor, when you talk of IVF, what does it mean?
Right. IVF is one of the forms of assisted reproductive technologies, or ART. And in IVF, the meaning of IVF is in vitro fertilization. So in this case, the sperm and the egg are taken from the couple and put together in the IVF laboratory.
Okay.
This then results in an embryo, which after a few days of growth in the laboratory is then transferred back to the uterus of the woman.
So from my understanding, that means you are going to extract the, let's say, the ovaries from the woman and then the sperm from the man, and you do the fertilization outside before you put it back into the woman.
Exactly.
If that is what.
Exactly.
So it's an artificial process or a natural process?
Rely on the natural processes that occur in the woman and in the man. So the sperm production is normal, natural. Sure. The production of the preparation of the uterus and the production of the eggs goes on within the woman, but we give medications to enhance the production of the eggs, especially in terms of the number of eggs that are produced.
Okay.
These are then taken out. Nothing artificial is done to change them, but we put them together and then fertilization occurs in that controlled environment outside the body. And then we're able to track the growth of this fertilized egg, becomes an embryo and keeps developing into a stage that can then be transferred back into the woman's uterus, which has naturally also gone to that point where it can receive.
Wow, that's quite a process.
It is.
Yeah, so why the need for an IVF, or what should cause someone to walk in for an IVF?
Right, an IVF is one form of treating challenges with fertility.
Okay.
It could be that the problem comes from the sperm or from the male side, or it could be that the problem comes from the woman's side. There could be tubes that are not working really well.
Okay.
It could be challenges with fertilization, sometimes with the cervix and other things. So there must be some indication of a fertility challenge, and IVF would then be the solution to that. So it's not the solution to everything, but to some specific issues.
Can IVF fail?
Yes, IVF can fail.
And what could have been the cause?
All right. So the first important thing to understand is, why do you want to do IVF in the first place? What is it solving? Now, let's take a typical couple, a man and a wife, who come in and they've been trying for a number of years, maybe 3 years, have tried different things to try to achieve pregnancy. It is then found that the fallopian tubes are blocked or not working well. And so the treatment for that will be an IVF. In a normal natural conception, your pregnancy rate is about 20 to 25%. Okay, that's really low. So it means your failure rate is like 80%, right?
Yeah.
But that's how the natural thing goes. And that's why we would wait for a year before we say, oh, this couple is having challenges.
Okay.
And we'll not just say after 1 or 2 cycles that no, come for treatment. So we need to select our couple well. When you have a situation where you do IVF, in the ideal scenario, the success rate is somewhere between 40–45%.
Wow.
Which, considering what it is in the natural cycle, is actually very high. It's even higher when you compare it to the success rate for that particular couple, which has been probably 0% over the past 3 to 4 years. So when we talk about failure, we need to look at it in context. But there are many things that could come into play and not make the IVF successful. Success can be looked at in different ways. You can look at it at achieving pregnancy, which is how we look at it. After the procedure, do we get pregnancy? Then that is success. But from the couple's point of view, they are also looking at actually going through and carrying a baby home at the end of the day.
Okay. So what is the success rate again?
The success rate is about 40 to 45%, but there are other factors that come into play. And one of the biggest factors is the age of the woman.
Okay. So do you have an age limit for somebody who would want to do an IVF?
Right. That's an interesting question. Different countries will give you different answers.
Okay.
Okay. There are some countries where they will actually allow you to do IVF to quite an advanced age. But we need to remember that our health as people also changes as we age.
Yes.
And pregnancy is a very, very stressful, physically very stressful and procedure or event, and also very stressful psychologically. So we need to look at that. But we are looking at couples who are within the legal age of marriage. Okay, so you would not want to contravene the law by doing an IVF for a couple that is below the legal age for marriage. So you need to look at that. And you also need to consider the upper limit of the age, especially for the woman. And this is important because at a certain age, usually 40, 42, the quantity and quality of the eggs is actually much reduced, and the success rate may be in the range of 5%.
Wow, that's quite low.
Yes, and so you need to balance that, looking at costs of financial costs, physical costs, emotional costs, and the likelihood of success. So that can determine some of the age. But you know, there are other things that could happen where an egg is donated.
Okay.
So a donor egg from a younger person, and so the age factor disappears and so on, yes.
Okay. So is the process painful?
The IVF process is quite an extensive process. It takes over a period of about 6 weeks or so. Different things are happening during this 6-week period. Some parts are more uncomfortable than others. Others are very easy. Some parts are just waiting time and so on and so forth.
Okay.
It involves quite a number of injections. Most of the time, people are administered those injections by the nursing team. Some people are okay enough to give the injections to themselves.
Okay.
That's also acceptable within that context. So some people think that injections are intolerable pain, and some people say, well, injections are just fine for me. So from that point of view, that will determine whether you say, oh, this is painful or this is not painful. Sometimes the process of stimulating the ovaries may also cause some pain at some point, but not for everybody. For some, it may just be discomfort and so on. And some go on to have complications of much severe pain because of excessive stimulation of the ovaries. Then comes some of the procedures which have to be done under anesthesia.
Yeah. So that means, before we go on, is it a major surgical or minor surgical procedure?
No, it's not a major surgical procedure because you're actually not cutting any part of the body.
Okay.
You're only using needles to retrieve the eggs from the ovaries. You're not actually taking out the ovaries. The ovaries are organs that contain the eggs. Okay. And the medications that we would be giving would cause those eggs to mature and get to the point where you can actually extract them. Okay. And we use a needle to do that. Okay, so a needle is a needle. It's what we used to inject, right?
Yes.
Only that it's a bit more painful because of the way it is done. And so during that time, there's anesthesia. Okay. So yes, painful, but because of anesthesia, you sleep and you wake up and are we done? And we are done, yes. And then the last part, which is probably the transfer of the embryo, is usually not a painful procedure. It's just a very gentle procedure done very carefully under controlled conditions to put that delicate embryo back into the uterus. And then a lot of the other time is waiting time and so on. Yes.
So do you keep these women in the hospital or they go back home to their regular activities?
Most women are fine to be home.
Okay. Can every woman undergo an IVF, looking at the body acceptance and then probably some medical conditions?
Yes. We need to evaluate the couple really well to be sure that this person can actually undergo this process. Are you fit enough? Do you have other health challenges? Are there things that would mitigate against success?
Yes.
You know, what is the person's previous history? In fact, is pregnancy even safe for you? So we do a detailed history, asking and trying to find out what has gone on in the past and the kind of health that the person has had, potential complications. You have other diseases like hypertension, diabetes that we need to control before, or extreme weight and so on. So some of them you may need to control some of these things first. And some may also be challenging. There may be low rate of success and so on. And so you'd want to have that counseling done very carefully, because you don't want to do a procedure that you know is very unlikely to be successful without letting the client actually know that this is happening. So yes, there are all these factors we must take into consideration. Okay,
so are there any side effects of IVF?
Well, yes, there could be complications from IVF. One of the most severe complications or problematic problems is having hyperstimulation, where the medications are working too much or the body is responding too much to the medications given, which could actually result in death as well.
Okay, so IVF actually is not painful, but remember there are a series of tests and labs that will be done for you to know if you are fit to have an IVF. On this note, we'll go for a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll look at more information on IVF.
Are you a mother? Are you trying to conceive? Have you had challenges with conception? Do you have a story to share? We are dedicated to helping you solve your problems. Join us on your favorite Pregnancy Care Show and share your experiences with us.
Se oba ne nyema ade ehia pa ese wo ye ne se won hye na bufu.
In my first pregnancy, I expected that my body would go through some changes. Yes, and then at the end of the changes, I was expecting to deliver a baby safely.
Remember, sharing is caring, and your experience will encourage and help someone. Contact us on 050-166-1330 or send a message to all our social media platforms at The Pregnancy Care Show, and we will get back to you.
Flourish Formula is a liquid herbal iron extract with the benefits of organic iron-free polymaltose plus vitamin C and other B-complex vitamins, the base of fruit juices and yeast. Flourish Formula helps increase your energy level, stamina, and highly nutritional, and also reduces tiredness and fatigue. It contains vitamin B1, B2, B6, B12, and C. Flourish Formula helps keep the family smart, healthy, and strong. For enquiries, contact Unicom Chemist Limited on 0302 324 595 or 0302 324 383. You can also email unicomchemist@yahoo.com or visit www.unicomchemist.com. This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, it's still the Pregnancy Care Show and you are looking at IVF. So doctor, how common is IVF done lately?
Well, that's a question I probably don't have an accurate answer for.
Okay.
I can only say that it's becoming more and more common because we have more centers available now, more specialists in that area, and things are developing in that area. So it's becoming more common now. I can't tell you exactly how much more common it is, but it's actually really picking up now. And so we are now able to solve a lot more of the fertility problems than we were able to solve earlier on.
IVF and religion, how is that as well?
Well, different people have different beliefs, and that's an area that goes into counseling as well. We need to probe them, try to find out what is going on, what they think, what is their psychological state as regards their religious belief. And sometimes you need to get involved, the religious leaders as well, where that need is.
How expensive is IVF?
You look at IVF expense in terms of time, physical discomfort, medical complications, and financially. It does take a lot of time. And so you need to have that time to dedicate. Take, for example, during the time that you are going to have daily injections, you know, you would have to make that time, and it's a daily thing. So if it's a commute you have to make and so on and so forth. You have to also look at the health costs on the body, because you're giving high doses of medications and the body can overreact. There can be allergic reactions and so on. So that is a huge cost to your body and your health. Not only that, but you look at it also on what happens as you go through pregnancy, because that also has a toll on your health, especially if there are some pre-existing health challenges, which can also cost the baby health. For example, if you are on some antihypertensive medications that are not safe for pregnancy, you would want to correct those ones and change those medications. Or if you have diabetes that is not well controlled, you have an increased risk of having a fetal abnormality. And so those are all the things that could be factored into costs. There's also financial costs, which can actually be quite high. It's not just the cost of the procedure alone, but also the cost of pregnancy. Which is sometimes more high risk, is higher risk of twins and so on. So you may need to look at that. Of course, we can't give figures of cost, but it becomes quite a large cost that you need to have that discussion with the center that you are working with so that you can plan well. Okay.
So pregnancy from IVF, is it a high risk pregnancy or is just like a normal pregnancy?
Well, it depends on how you're looking at it. Somebody who has tried very hard and has had 7 IVFs and is now pregnant becomes quite very important for that person. Even if it is somebody who has tried IVF for the first time and has succeeded, it is just equally as precious and important. From the medical point of view, the IVF pregnancy is similar to a normal pregnancy. If all the other factors are normal, but if there are other comorbidities and problems and challenges, then we need to take those into recognition. But we'll not say because this is an IVF pregnancy that we're going to treat the antenatal so differently from somebody who had a natural conception.
So how long does it take from start to finish?
Usually about 6 weeks, plus or minus.
Okay, so like you said before, so are you saying there's no special care for a woman who has undergone an IVF? Probably she's currently pregnant. There's no special care for her. She's treated just like the normal woman who has had sexual intercourse and she's pregnant.
Well, you need to understand that every pregnancy is extremely important. You can't say, oh, this pregnancy is just natural, so there's no problem. You can just treat it anyhow. No, that is a big mistake. You treat every pregnancy as if there will be a problem.
Okay.
And so you're more careful, you look more, you do your screening tests, you do your interventions, you do your visits and so on. You must have that same focus, whether it's a natural pregnancy or an IVF pregnancy. But you also need to understand that there are so many other factors that go with any pregnancy, not just an IVF pregnancy, which we need to recognize. Also, there are the comorbidities. If the person has some other issues already, which need to be managed more carefully. And lastly, maybe and very important, is the psychological aspect, which can become really strong for that particular couple. And we need to understand that, and maybe we may have to give some more counseling as regards the psychological aspect, which may be different from somebody who has had a natural conception. But generally, from a medical point of view, you need to take both types of pregnancies as seriously as you can. Okay,
so let's go to our social media handles and get some questions from there. So these are some few questions from our social media handles from our viewers. Dr. McCarthy, a viewer would want to know, what is the birth plan for a client who has undergone an IVF? Probably, is there an option that, okay, I want to have a normal vaginal delivery or I have to get a CS? What are the birth plan options?
Right. I mean, you don't need to have a CS just because you have undergone an IVF. No. I mean, the birth plan should be discussed with your practitioner.
Okay.
There may be so many other obstetric factors that will determine one way or the other. But yes, that birth plan should be discussed.
Okay.
And then you can reach the kind of plan that you would want.
So our next comment is from a viewer. She would want to know, having an IVF and twin pregnancy, how does that relate? Because she's heard that often when you have an IVF, you are at a higher risk of getting a twin pregnancy. How true is that?
Yes, so anytime you intervene with some of these medications and procedures, you're stimulating more eggs to develop.
Oh, okay.
And so sometimes there is the increased chance, I could either say chance or risk, depending on how you want to look at it. From the client's point is chance, and from the doctor's point is risk of getting the twin or higher order pregnancy.
Okay.
The goal really has to be able to succeed to carry a baby home. And that is higher in a single pregnancy than in a twin pregnancy. So we're aiming at having at least a single pregnancy, though there is an increased chance of having multiple pregnancies. Such the commonest of that obviously is twins.
Oh, okay, so our last viewer is asking, how many times can one undergo an IVF after a failure?
Well, it depends on what the couple wants to do, what they want to achieve. Since we know that the success rate is about 40-45% and even lower depending on the age of the woman, we plan. We don't usually plan for just one IVF session. We plan for maybe 3, 4, sometimes 6 over a certain period of time. So that is the plan. because yes, you may succeed on the first, but you may also not succeed on the first. And so having a plan for more is actually the way to go. You also don't want to have too many IVFs. What is too many? Probably really don't have that number. Okay. 9 is a lot, depending on the kind of period of time you are speaking about. But in the planning, you are talking about 3 or 4 cycles to achieve a pregnancy. But sometimes we don't actually succeed. There may be miscarriages, there may be ectopics along the way. So there are other things that may come in which will dictate that you may need to continue with your processes. And then you need to determine what is the kind of family size you're looking for, you know, and then use that to determine what you want. And for those who want more, you need to understand also, we talk about the risks and the difficulties and the challenges. You need to consider that benefit-risk ratio as well.
Oh, okay. So we'll go for a short commercial break. When we come back, Doctor will give us his final words on IVF.
Yo, Kojo, you look happy and strong.
Yeah, Charlie. But I couldn't have done it without you, you know. Madam was always complaining. But ever since you introduced me to Spertonic, life has been good.
Spertonic helps boost the immune system, fitness level, and performance. A tablet a day is all you need, man.
Spertonic. Strong as a wood. For inquiries, contact Unicom Chemist Limited on 0302 324595 or 0302 324383. Email info@unicomchemist.com.
Spertonic is not suitable for persons under 18. This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome back. The show is still the Pregnancy Care Show, and today we are looking at IVF, and we've learned a lot that anybody can walk in for an IVF, but then remember that you'll be screened, you'll be scanned, you'll be counseled to see if you are okay to have an IVF. So talk to your doctor, tell him whatever you want, and then you get the right answer to those questions. So Dr. McCarthy, I want you to look straight into our camera, give our viewers your final words on IVF and any other options you'd want our viewers to know.
Right. I mean, it's great to know that there are options to address fertility challenges, and IVF is one of them. It's a very good option, it's a viable option, and we encourage that you visit an IVF center, visit us to see how eligible you are and what the other issues are, and sometimes to give you even a bigger perspective of how you can address the challenges with fertility.
So Dr. McCarthy, thank you very much for coming on our show today. Me and my viewers have learned a lot on IVF.
You're welcome.
Okay. So on today's episode, we were talking everything IVF. And we've learned that any woman can go in for IVF, but then again, you would have to go through counseling and screening to see if actually you can accept or your body is ready to accept an IVF. You need to consider your medical side, your religion as well. So it's not everybody even that can go for an IVF. Thank you for watching this week's episode. If you have any comments, if you have any questions, leave them in all our comment section on all our social media platforms. Keep subscribing to our YouTube channel, comment, share, and like. You can also follow me on my personal IG page @dede_Gao. Thank you for watching today's episode. See you next week.